Welcome. This is my first YouTube live, so we're gonna see how it goes. I'm doing a podcast, which I do semi-regularly, and I've never recorded it, and so I'm recording it because that's what all the popular kids do, right? And I've got my mic here. Usually, I think people have like a boom here, and I'm in my office, and there is background noise. Of the heater going. So I'm just doing this experiment to see what happens. But I'm going to get my podcast going here as well. Hopefully my computer has the computing power to do both. So we shall see what happens. Let me get going here. Hey friends, happy 2022. Let's talk about social media.
You are listening to Headshot Game, your answers to life, relationship, and daily living.
It is 2022. Wow, we made it to 2022. Let's see what's been going on in my life for since I potted last. I think I potted last probably I should have been more prepared to see when I did it last, but I think it was probably in December or late November. So again, I give lots of excuses. I just get busy, and then I don't have a lot of topics on my mind to podcast about. So that's why there's not a recent podcast. But let's see. I had Christmas. I was I vacationed in Florida. Was a part of several super spreader events in Florida, in Disneyland and Universal Studios. And I say super spreader just because there were lots of people around not wearing masks and wearing masks. And I did not get COVID. Imagine that. So yeah, that was a good time. And then we had Christmas. And now it's January. And my voice maybe sounds a little bit deeper. And the reason that it sounds deeper is because I got a cold. Now, immediately people think, oh, you must have had COVID. And I don't know if I had COVID. I mean, just for transparency purposes, I've been vaccinated and boosted. And I mean, if you think that's crazy, great. Good for you that you think it's crazy. If you don't want to get vaccinated, okay, don't get vaccinated. I mean, you're going to get COVID. You're going to get COVID either way. And so I got vaccinated, got boosted. My wife's been vaccinated. And she tested positive for COVID. And I took a test and it didn't test positive. Like I was negative for COVID, but I had a lot of the same symptoms that she did. And she seems to think I didn't go high up enough in my nose. Now, have you ever done a COVID test like at home or at a hospital? Like, you got to go up super. Who wants to go up that high in their nose? It's like getting there's this, I think there's a torture thing that they used to do where they'd put wood underneath your nails. Like, who wants to do that? And I thought I went up pretty high. Like, my eyes watered a little bit. So who knows what's going on with the COVID stuff. My connection is unstable. So what I'm doing today is I'm doing this podcast, but I'm also doing a live stream on YouTube. And this is like my first time doing this. So we'll see how it goes. No one watches my YouTube channel. So if I mess up, it doesn't matter. Right. But I'm live streaming on YouTube, and then I'm doing this podcast at the same time, and we'll see how it goes. If you go to the YouTube channel, you will see me talking into a box right here. And basically my mic is in this soundproofy type box because there's heating, you can hear the heater. And then if I don't use the box, my voice sounds kind of tinny or like I'm in a can. Maybe it still does, but that's why I have this weird setup. So today I want to talk about two of the worst things that have happened to the world. One is McRib sandwiches, and the second is social media. Now, I have had a McRib sandwich, and it's okay, but it's kind of gross when you think about it. That it's just a bunch of meat put together with some kind of glue, um, food grade glue. I'm assuming. You can hear my cough still. I'm assuming that's the case, but a McRib, my first McRib it was tasty, but then I started thinking about it and like there's no bones in it, and so that's a disaster to the human race. The second is social media, and so I want to talk about social media today. It's 2022. A lot of people make commitments, New Year's resolutions. And I am not a New Year's resolutions guy because I think that if you want to make change in your life, just start making change. Don't wait for the new year to roll around. Now, maybe the new year inspires you to make change. Well, that's great. Then still make the change. But I don't tend to do actual resolutions on New Year's because if I want to change something in my life, I'm just going to change it. I'm not going to wait for a new year to do it. But one of the things I really want to encourage you to consider doing in this new year is unfriending somebody on social media. Here's why I think social media is horrible. There was a time in our lives when we didn't know all the intimate details about other people. We didn't know what food they liked, the biggest one is politics. What politics they followed, what weird conspiracy things they thought, any number of things we didn't know about people, and the world was such a better place. Now you have social media, and you know everything about everybody, and everyone has uninformed opinions about things. I was just on I was just scrolling through a Facebook page I'm part of today, where someone posts this picture of someone singing a song about vaccinations. And they're like, oh, look at this idiot. What a leftist loser. Oh, give me a break. Who wants to, just insulting this guy who's at a public meeting singing a song about vaccinations, and he's dressed up in scrubs. Now, if these people had done a little bit of research, they would have found that this person is a professional troller. So he goes to events and he does things to troll people. Now, the problem with social media is like these people just have these knee-jerk reactions, and it makes them look stupid because they didn't do like actual research. And that's another problem with social media, is that I think that people don't do research. They just react. And I think just reacting to things in life is not usually a good thing. I encourage people to be more proactive, especially with parenting, right? Be proactive in your parenting instead of reactive. Because when you're reactive to things, you often don't make a good decision, specifically in relationships. And I'm saying specifically to relationships because there's a lot of jobs like law enforcement jobs, military jobs, where you do have to react, but usually you're trained for that kind of thing. So I'm talking more specifically related to relationships. So here's why I'm thinking about social media, right? So social media can be super great to keep in contact with people that we care about, to keep in contact with people that we're interested in. But where it takes an ugly turn, I believe, is that it keeps us in contact with people that we will never see in our lives, who have differences of opinions than us, which isn't a bad thing, but then say things that are rude, hurtful, insulting, and whatever. But yet we, for whatever reason, we feel this need to stay friends with these people. Now, these people we will legitimately never see because they live far away from us. Or if they live close, you don't travel in the same social circles. Your kids and my kids don't go to school together. So we'll just never see, but we became friends because one of us made a friend request because maybe we have a mutual friend, or maybe we went to school together 20 years ago. Um, and so we got a friend request and we thought, sure, why not? I went to school with them 20 years ago, but you've never seen them in 20 years. And chances are you'll never see them again in another 20 years. But for some reason, we stay friends with these people. They say these things that irritate us and annoy us and are offensive to us, and we stay friends, and then we start growing this irritation. We start thinking negative things about them. We start making assumptions about them based on what they post, and we don't do anything about it. And I say collective we. I know I'm generalizing because some of you do things about it, and I do things about it, right? So recently, there was somebody that I don't interact with that was saying all these like shameful things around vaccination and masking and things like that. And again, for transparency purposes, I'm vaccinated. And so, but I don't think shaming people is a great thing. And for some reason, most people don't think shaming people is good. Most people don't would agree that shame is not a good thing. But for some reason, when it comes to like the current events of COVID and the vaccinations, shaming people is suddenly okay because either we have moral superiority because we follow the science or whatever it is. And so for me, like I saw these posts and I thought, man, that it created this negativity in me, and I just don't want negativity, and so I unfriended him. And guess what? It feels great. I mean, I have no regret over unfriending them. That was an easy unfriend, to be honest. And so what I would encourage you to do is like if you have people in your life on social media that they post something and it immediately creates this kind of negativity, kind of a vibe of negativity for you, really consider unfriending. So I think for me, at least, the biggest factor was when am I going to see this person again? And it's a 95% chance that I will never see this person in my life. And if I do see them, if I do happen to see them, I'm not going to be rude to them. I'll still be polite to them. Also like, oh, hey, what's going on? But I have no interest. Like we just don't have interest in each other. We were only Facebook friends because of a similar place that we went to and some shared experiences from years ago. Now, where you might run into some challenges with unfriending is like family members, and I've actually unfriended some family members, and it was mostly because it was more about the shame thing, the shame and mocking, and it wasn't. It was related to politics. It wasn't related to the COVID stuff, and I mean, I think I don't shame people and I don't mock people for what they choose to believe in. And I would expect the same respect, or I would expect the same kind of treatment from those people. And when I don't get that treatment, I'm willing to tolerate it and just like, okay, they just have different politics than me. But when it's really pointedly directed at like specific beliefs that I may have, it is not worth to me simply because we have similar DNA. It's not worth being treated poorly, passive aggressively, indirectly, whatever you want to call it. And so those were easy unfriends as well, because those are family members that I interacted with when I was younger, but I haven't seen for years. They are family members that have really no influence in my life currently, and most likely won't have influence in my life in the future. Now, again, if I see them in person, I'll be polite, I'll be friendly, I'll be nice, because it's just a short interaction. But I don't have to subject myself to that on my Facebook feed. Now, some people say, "Oh, just scroll on by." Sure, you can definitely scroll on by if you want. I just recognize that I'm not going to scroll on by because words matter to me. And when people say things that are offensive to me or that are pointedly targeting me, my beliefs, my family, I don't want to interact with that because it creates this negativity. It creates this kind of defend. I'm going to defend myself. I want to fight back, but I know that's pointless because I would challenge you to find a time when you've posted something on Facebook that someone says, "Oh, you know what, David, you're right. I shouldn't think this way anymore. I completely agree with you now." I would, if there's a study out there that says people change their minds because of what their Aunt Judy posts on Facebook, please point me to it because I don't believe that people change their minds based on what your aunt or uncle or grandpa or grandma or mom or dad or sibling post on Facebook about the latest conspiracy or how uh, the COVID shot's putting metal into your body and is going to make you magnetic. Like posts like that make me crazy. I can tolerate posts like that, but when those posts are directed towards me to point out that I'm less than, I have no time for that. And so what I unfriend. Now, some people can say, "Well, just unfollow." Sure, I can unfollow, but again, it's unfollow kind of is a um, I don't want to be like abruptly rude, but it's kind of an easy way out, right? The unfriending is shows a bit more fortitude. Now, you can choose to do whatever you want. I choose to unfriend because there's no purpose in keeping them in my friend list. If I'm never going to see them, if they're insulting me, and if they have no interest in reasonable conversation, why are we friends on Facebook? Again, let me be clear. I'm going to be polite and nice to them in public if I ever see them. And so some of you may be thinking, "Oh, what about my mother and father-in-law?" There becomes a challenge. I will be honest. A lot of you don't get along with your in-laws, and so you're going to have to just make that judgment call. Because if unfriending an in-law is going to cause more problems than just staying friends with them, then I guess I would suggest stay friends and maybe just unfollow. Um, because people put a lot of stock into this unfriending, and this is another reason why I think social media is horrible. Remember, like Facebook was started in 2008, so in 2007, before Facebook showed up, if you didn't agree with somebody on something, you didn't actually know what they thought about something, because these were just topics that never got discussed. And if they did talk to you and were offensive to you and whatever, you just wouldn't interact with them anymore. But for some reason on social media, we feel this compulsion to have to interact with these people that treat us poorly. And my encouragement for you in 2022 is to stop tolerating that bad behavior and unfriend some people. And if you can't bring yourself to unfriend some people, then unfollow some people. Because I think your life will be better for it. You'll feel better, and they just won't be in your timeline bringing negative. First podcast of 2022. Wow, what a banger that was. Um, I got to tell you, it's been great to interact. So I do this podcast, and it's more of a passion project for me. I enjoy it. I just kind of enjoy talking and giving my opinion on things, and it is super satisfying to get clients that come in and see me and say, "Oh, I listened to your podcast," and I say, "Oh, and you still decided to come see me? That's awesome, great." I've had that happen. I've had people that don't live near me, that live in another country, contact me, say, "Hey, I listen to your podcast." It is so great. I appreciate that. And so if you're listening to me and you've appreciated something I've said, please let me know. I'm super interested. Or if you've heard something I've said and you're annoyed, I would love to have a conversation with you. I'm always about reasonable conversation. But if you become unreasonable, I probably will block you. Because it's just I have no time for unreasonability. But yeah, feel free to reach out. You can contact me on my Instagram, Dr. David Simonson. You can email me at headshrinkinc, or you can go to my YouTube page and make a comment as well. But hey, I hope you have a great start to 2022, and we will talk again soon.